Annabelle 4. I don't really believe in curses, or at least I didn't until the night we brought the doll back to Blackwood. To understand what happened, you have to know that the Annabelle doll isn't some movie prop that sits in a glass case for show. The stories you've heard, the movies, the interviews, the safe containment, they leave out a lot. I used to work as a museum technician at a private paranormal collection in upstate New York. The kind of place you only hear about in hushed conversations, or through grainy YouTube clips labeled the real Warren artifacts. The museum didn't advertise, didn't post schedules. We took in items from crime scenes, exorcisms, and private donations that were too dangerous for the public. In early 2023, a wooden crate arrived with a handwritten note taped to the top, "Returned to Blackwood. Do not open before arrival." The return address was nothing, just a P.O. box in Connecticut. Inside the crate, under old straw and velvet, was the doll. It didn't look like the movie Annabelle. The real one never does. This one was smaller, older, a cloth body, porcelain head, eyes like polished marbles that caught the light in the strangest ways. But what hit me hardest was the smell. It wasn't dust or mildew. It was like old perfume mixed with rot, like something trying to pretend it was still alive. We had received cursed objects before: mirrors, Ouija boards, crucifixes that wouldn't stay upright, but everyone who worked there could tell this one was different. The air in the storage bay felt wrong, heavy. Static hummed around the crate, like a quiet growl. The director, a woman named Evelyn, insisted we take it to the Blackwood Parish, the abandoned church where it had first been sealed decades ago. She said the item belonged to the ground that birthed it. That phrase still echoes in my head. The trip we drove to Blackwood that weekend, Evelyn, myself, and our driver, Craig. The town was barely more than a collection of sagging houses off Route 19. Even in daylight, it felt like a place time forgot. The church sat at the end of a dirt road, its steeple leaning, its windows boarded with warped wood. As we approached, the sky darkened unnaturally fast, clouds swallowing the sunset in minutes. Inside, the floor was dust and splinters. The altar still stood, cracked and bowed. We found a spot near the center where old candle stubs had melted into the floor, apparently the spot where the original binding ritual was done. Evelyn unpacked her notes and candles, whispering some Latin phrases as we set the doll down. I was filming everything, but my camera started to glitch, the timecode flashing random numbers. Craig tried to joke about it, but his voice kept trembling. Then, we heard it. Footsteps, not ours. They came from the far end of the church, slow and deliberate. Craig swung his flashlight toward the pews. Nothing, just shadows. But when he moved the light away, I saw something. A shape, crouched low, where the glow didn't reach. "Craig," I whispered, "do you see that?" He turned back, and the shape was gone. The sound came again, closer this time, like bare feet dragging over the wood. Evelyn raised her voice, continuing the chant, faster now. Her candles flickered violently, and one by one, the flames went out. When only her voice remained, the temperature dropped so suddenly that I could see my breath. Then laughter, a child's laughter. It wasn't playful. It was mocking. When we turned back to the altar, the doll was no longer upright. It was lying on its side, its head turned toward us. Craig muttered, "Nope," and started for the door. The latch wouldn't move. He pulled harder, but it felt like something was holding it shut from the other side. "Keep going," Evelyn barked. She poured salt in a circle around the doll. The floorboards began to creak, not from weight, but from underneath, like something crawling in the crawlspace. The laughter turned into whispers. They weren't words at first, just low, human sounds, but soon they formed sentences. "She's not done. She remembers you. Don't leave her again." I backed away, recording the whole time, but the screen was just static. Then, for a split second, the feed cleared and I saw myself on the display, standing in front of the altar, except the doll was sitting upright again, and smiling. But when I looked up in real life, it was gone. The thing behind the wall. Craig found a loose plank near the altar, and kicked it aside. Beneath it was a narrow passage leading into the old basement. The smell that came up was the same as the doll's sweet rot and perfume. Evelyn said the spirit was tied to where it began. She grabbed a flashlight and climbed down first. I followed, filming again. The basement was lined with rusted metal shelves and crumbling stone. But the walls, someone had painted symbols there. Not in ink, not in paint, in blood, dried, old, but unmistakable. In the center of the room sat a small wooden cradle, empty. Evelyn approached it slowly, whispering the same Latin verse. Then we heard a sound like someone breathing behind us. When I turned, something moved in the corner. It wasn't a doll. It wasn't human either. It was a shape, hunched and twitching, its movements jerky like it was learning how to move. As my light hit it, I saw fabric cloth arms, a porcelain face, but not Annabelle. It was another doll, older, cracked, and its eyes were moving. Evelyn screamed and threw salt, but the figure rushed toward her with unnatural speed. The flashlight shattered. Darkness swallowed everything, and all I could hear was Evelyn's scream turning into a gurgle and then silence. I ran. I don't remember how I got out. 1 second I was in the basement. The next, I was outside in the snow, gasping, the crate lying open beside the van. Craig was gone. The keys were still in the ignition. The church doors were wide open. The chanting was gone. The only sound was the wind and something faintly knocking from inside the crate. When I got back to the museum, I told the director what happened. They sealed the crate in the deepest part of the vault. The footage from my camera was corrupted except for one still frame. It showed Evelyn standing by the altar, smiling, with the doll in her arms. But the reflection in the glass window behind her wasn't Evelyn. It was something else, a figure with hollow eyes and a cracked grin, wearing a church robe. The timestamp on that frame was exactly 3:33 a.m. now. That was 3 months ago. The museum has been closed since then. They tell the public it's under restoration. I know the truth. They can't get near the vault. Security systems go offline every night at 3:33. And me, I moved across the country. I thought distance would help. But last week, I came home to find a package on my doorstep. No label, no return address. Inside was an old porcelain doll, cracked down one side. It smelled faintly of perfume, and there was a note tucked in its hand. She found her way back to Blackwood. You were supposed to stay